In the heart of a bustling space station, where colors and sounds mixed like a wild painting, stood a bar called the Bar of Wonders. This bar was famous throughout the galaxy for its strange drinks and the variety of aliens that gathered there. It was the kind of place where beings from distant planets came to show off their uniqueness and talent. The air was thick with the smell of exotic foods and the sounds of laughter, cheers, and alien music. Jake, a human from Earth, stepped through the doors of the bar, his heart racing with excitement. He was on a mission to explore this fascinating galaxy, but today was different. Today, he wanted to prove that humans were more than just primitive beings. He was ready to show what he could do. As he entered, his simple blue shirt and worn jeans contrasted sharply with the bright, flashy outfits of the aliens around him. They wore clothes made of materials that shimmered and changed color. Their skin tones varied from vibrant greens to deep blues, and some had features Jake had never seen before, like 3 eyes or extra limbs. He felt out of place, but he was determined not to let it show. Jake walked up to the bar and ordered a drink. The bartender, a tall creature with 6 arms, mixed a glowing beverage that bubbled like a potion. As Jake took a sip, he felt a rush of energy. He looked around and noticed groups of aliens laughing and boasting about their home worlds. The more Jake listened, the more he realized they were talking about their advanced technology and how superior they were to humans. "Primitive humans?" one alien sneered. "They can't even invent a decent weapon." Jake felt a fire ignite inside him. He wanted to stand up and shout, but he held back. Instead, he observed quietly. He could hear them mocking humanity, saying how easy it would be to defeat a human in any competition. The alien warriors seemed to take great pleasure in belittling his kind. They thought they were better because of their advanced technology and powerful weapons. But Jake had something else in mind. Suddenly, a loud voice cut through the chatter. It was Zarnak, the leader of the group, a massive alien with bulging muscles and a nasty grin. He raised his glass high, commanding attention. "Let us have a competition," he declared. "Let a human prove their worth. I bet that no human weapon can match our advanced technology." The crowd fell silent, all eyes on Jake. He could feel their stares, some filled with curiosity and others with disdain. But instead of shrinking away, Jake felt more confident. He stepped forward, his heart pounding but his mind clear. "I accept your challenge," Jake said, surprising even himself. The bar erupted into whispers and laughter. Zarnak's grin widened. "What will you use? A stick?" he mocked. "No," Jake replied, a smile forming on his lips. "I will use my slingshot." Laughter erupted in the bar. "A slingshot?" Zarnak laughed. "How quaint, but fine. Let's see what you can do." The stakes were raised as Zarnak suggested they bet drinks and pride. If Jake won, the aliens would have to acknowledge that humans were not to be underestimated. If he lost, he would have to leave the bar and never return. As the crowd cheered and jeered, Jake felt a surge of adrenaline. He had always been good with his slingshot, using it for fun back on Earth. But now he felt it was more than just a game. It was his chance to prove that humans could stand tall among the stars. With a quick glance around the bar, he noticed the excitement in the eyes of the other aliens. They were eager to see what would happen. Jake felt a mix of nerves and excitement, knowing this was just the beginning of his adventure. He took a deep breath, ready to show them that even a simple human weapon could create wonders. As the bar prepared for the competition, Jake couldn't help but smile. He was ready to turn their laughter into respect, and he knew that this would be a night to remember. The atmosphere in the Bar of Wonders buzzed with energy as the challenge was set. Jake stood confidently in front of the crowd, his heart racing with excitement and determination. Around him, a sea of curious alien faces watched, some with smirks and others with eager anticipation. Zarnak, the hulking leader of the group, towered over him, clearly enjoying the attention. "All right, little human," Zarnak boomed, his voice echoing in the bar. "Let's see what you've got. But first, we need to make this interesting." He raised a hand to silence the crowd, a sly grin on his face. "What shall we wager?" The bar fell quiet as everyone leaned in, waiting for Jake's response. He glanced at the group of aliens, their eyes glinting with mischief. Jake knew that if he lost, it would not just be a defeat. He would lose the respect of everyone there. But he also felt the thrill of the challenge. He took a deep breath, searching for the right words. "How about this?" Jake suggested, his voice steady. If I win, you all have to admit that humans are not as primitive as you think. You'll treat us with respect from now on. And in return, if I lose..." He paused for effect, gauging the reactions of the crowd. "If I lose, I will leave this bar and never return." The aliens erupted in laughter at the idea of a human gaining respect. Zarnak crossed his arms, his laughter booming. "Deal! But you should know our weapons are far superior. You'll be out of here faster than a shooting star." Jake smiled, undeterred by the mockery. "We'll see about that." With the terms set, the aliens began to prepare the competition. A makeshift target was set up at the far end of the bar. It was a glowing, rotating alien sculpture, a challenge even for the best marksman. The alien patrons moved closer, eager to witness the showdown. Jake felt a mix of nerves and excitement. He was ready to show them what a human could do. Zarnak stood beside him, brandishing his high-tech blaster with pride. "This will be easy. Watch and learn, human!" He aimed at the target and fired, a bright beam of light shooting through the air. The blast struck the target with a loud bang, shattering it into glowing fragments. The crowd cheered, amazed by Zarnak's skill. Jake took a deep breath, focusing on his slingshot. He picked up a small, smooth stone from the ground and held it tightly. Memories of practicing back home flooded his mind, reminding him of the many times he had hit his mark. He steadied his hand and took aim, feeling the weight of the moment. "Go ahead, human!" Zarnak taunted. "Show us what you can do with your little toy." With the crowd's eyes on him, Jake pulled back the elastic band of his slingshot. He could hear the whispers, feel the skepticism in the air. But he blocked it out, focusing on the target. He released the stone, watching it fly through the air. Time seemed to slow as everyone held their breath. The stone sailed true, striking the remains of the shattered sculpture. A loud thud echoed through the bar, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Jake felt a rush of adrenaline and pride as he raised his slingshot in victory. Zarnak's eyes widened in disbelief, and the cheers of the patrons filled the air. "Not bad for a primitive weapon," Zarnak grumbled, trying to mask his shock with bravado. But Jake could see the shift in the crowd's mood. The laughter was gone, replaced by cheers for the human who had just amazed them. Jake grinned at the audience, enjoying the moment. "This is just the beginning," he called out, confidence bubbling inside him. "I'm here to show you that humans have their own kind of strength." The aliens, once mocking, now looked at him with newfound respect. Jake felt a warmth in his chest. He was proving them wrong. As the competition continued, he knew he had already won something important, the chance to change their minds about humans. Zarnak, though frustrated, had to admit that this little human was making a name for himself. The energy in the bar was electric, and everyone was eager to see what would happen next. With every challenge, Jake knew he was one step closer to gaining the respect he desired, and maybe even making friends among the stars. With the stakes set high, the Bar of Wonders was alive with excitement. Every alien in the room leaned forward, eyes wide and eager to watch the human, Jake, take on Zarnak's challenge. Jake stood with his slingshot in hand, feeling the weight of every gaze on him. He could feel a strange energy in the air, and it made his heart race. For the first time, he was representing not just himself, but all of humanity. Zarnak, the massive alien warrior, stood across from him, puffing out his chest proudly. He wore a smirk that told everyone he was sure of his victory. His high-tech blaster, a sleek weapon with shining, futuristic details, was a symbol of alien advancement. To Zarnak, this contest was just a formality. He believed no primitive human tool could possibly compete with his blaster. "Prepare to lose, human!" Zarnak sneered, raising his blaster and aiming at the target. He took his time, playing up the drama for the crowd who cheered him on. Jake watched closely as Zarnak took his first shot. With a flash of light and a sizzling sound, the blaster fired a perfect shot that hit the target dead center, leaving a bright, glowing mark. The crowd cheered wildly, impressed by the alien's flawless aim. Zarnak lowered his weapon and smirked at Jake. "Let's see you try to beat that," he said, his voice dripping with arrogance. Jake took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. His slingshot felt small and simple in his hands, especially compared to Zarnak's flashy blaster. But he knew that skill wasn't about the tool, it was about how one used it. He picked up a small stone, feeling its cool surface in his palm. Back on Earth, he had spent hours practicing with his slingshot, honing his accuracy. It was time to show the aliens what he could do. The crowd fell silent as Jake pulled back the elastic band, aiming carefully at the target. He steadied his breathing, blocking out the sounds around him, focusing only on his target. Then, with a sharp release, the stone shot through the air, fast and true. It struck the target with a satisfying crack, hitting almost exactly where Zarnak's blaster had. For a moment, there was silence. The crowd seemed stunned, as if they couldn't believe what they had just seen. Then murmurs started to spread, and Jake could hear whispers of surprise and admiration. Zarnak's smirk faltered slightly, but he quickly hid it, raising his voice to call for the next round. "Lucky shot, human!" Zarnak sneered. "Let's see if you can keep it up!" The contest continued, with each round growing more intense. Zarnak fired his blaster with confidence, his shots hitting the target again and again. But each time, Jake matched him, launching stones with his slingshot that hit the target just as accurately. The aliens in the crowd watched in awe as the primitive human weapon held its own against Zarnak's advanced technology. With every successful shot, Jake felt his confidence grow. He could see the respect starting to form in the eyes of the crowd. They weren't laughing anymore. Instead, they were watching with genuine interest, some even leaning forward to get a closer look. Jake felt a rush of pride. He was proving that humans were not as weak or simple as the aliens had thought. Zarnak, however, was growing visibly frustrated. He gritted his teeth, his face darkening with anger each time Jake matched his shot. Finally, after yet another round where Jake's stone hit the target just as precisely as his blaster, Zarnak slammed his blaster down on the table. "This is ridiculous," he growled. "How can a slingshot compete with a blaster?" Jake simply shrugged, a small smile on his face. "Maybe it's not just about the weapon," he said calmly. "Maybe it's about the person using it." The crowd murmured in agreement, nodding as they realized the truth in Jake's words. They were seeing a different side of humans, one that wasn't defined by advanced technology but by skill, creativity, and heart. Jake's slingshot may have been simple, but in his hands, it was as effective as any high-tech weapon. For the final round, Zarnak tried to regain his composure, aiming his blaster with even greater focus. His shot hit the target dead center, a perfect bullseye. The crowd cheered, thinking he had won. But Jake, with steady hands, took one last shot with his slingshot, and his stone struck the target in the exact same spot, splitting Zarnak's mark. The crowd erupted in cheers, louder than ever before. Jake had done it. He had held his own against an alien warrior with only a slingshot, showing everyone in the Bar of Wonders that humans were capable of greatness. Zarnak, though clearly frustrated, was forced to nod in reluctant respect. As the crowd chanted Jake's name, he felt a deep satisfaction. This was more than just a contest. It was a victory for humanity in the eyes of the galaxy. The crowd in the Bar of Wonders was electrified. Whispers and cheers filled the room as Jake's name echoed among the alien patrons. Many couldn't believe their eyes. This human, with his simple slingshot, had matched Zarnak's high-tech blaster shot for shot. It was a display of skill that no one had expected, and it stirred a growing admiration for Jake. Zarnak, however, was not feeling the same admiration. His fists clenched, his face darkened, and his pride felt bruised. Never before had he been bested, let alone by a human with a primitive weapon. The fact that Jake had split his bullseye on the last shot only made his defeat sting more. "Enough of this," Zarnak barked, his voice sharp and furious. "This contest isn't fair. A slingshot isn't a real weapon. If this human wants respect, he should face me in real combat." The bar fell silent. The crowd held its breath, eyes flickering between Jake and Zarnak. The tension was thick, and everyone wondered if Jake would take the challenge. Jake, however, stayed calm, his gaze steady. He knew he didn't need to prove anything further. He had shown them all that humans were capable. But he also didn't want to back down in front of everyone. "All right, Zarnak," Jake replied evenly. "If a real fight is what you want, I'll accept. But let's make it a fair match. No blasters, no fancy alien weapons, just what we have on us." Zarnak hesitated, his expression uncertain for a brief moment. But his pride was on the line, and he quickly masked his doubt with a sneer. "Fine," he spat. "Let's settle this, human." The crowd began to murmur excitedly as a space cleared in the center of the bar. The aliens formed a ring, eager to see the showdown. Jake handed his slingshot to a nearby patron and stood tall, ready to face whatever Zarnak threw his way. He had grown up rough and tough, learning to defend himself without relying on any advanced tools. All he needed was his strength and his quick reflexes. Zarnak, towering over Jake, cracked his knuckles menacingly. He lunged forward, his large fists swinging with the force of a boulder. Jake, quick on his feet, dodged the blow just in time, feeling the gust of wind from Zarnak's punch. Jake knew he couldn't match Zarnak's strength head-on, so he relied on his agility, ducking and weaving to avoid the powerful swings. The crowd gasped and cheered with every movement, their excitement growing as they realized this wasn't going to be an easy fight for Zarnak. Each time Zarnak swung, Jake avoided the blow, using his smaller size to his advantage. Frustration built on Zarnak's face as he missed each attack, his movements becoming sloppy in his anger. Seizing the opportunity, Jake moved in quickly and struck Zarnak's side with a sharp elbow. The alien staggered, clearly not expecting the human to land a hit. Jake followed with a swift kick, aiming for Zarnak's knee, causing him to stumble. The crowd roared in amazement, their respect for the human warrior growing with every second. "Is that all you've got, Zarnak?" Jake taunted, his voice confident but calm. He wanted to show not just strength, but control. Infuriated, Zarnak let out a roar and charged at Jake with all his might. But in his blind rage, he became predictable, and Jake saw his move coming. He sidestepped, letting Zarnak's momentum carry him forward, causing the larger alien to crash into a table, which shattered under his weight. The crowd erupted in laughter and cheers, thoroughly entertained by the human's cleverness. Zarnak struggled to his feet, panting heavily. He looked around, seeing the amused and impressed expressions on the faces of his fellow patrons. His anger started to fade, replaced by the realization that he had underestimated Jake. In the middle of the fight, he felt his pride giving way to something new: respect. Finally, Zarnak raised a hand, signaling for a truce. "Enough," he muttered, breathing heavily. "You've proven your point, human. I respect your skill." Jake nodded, extending a hand toward Zarnak. "It was a good fight," he said simply, offering a smile. After a moment of hesitation, Zarnak clasped Jake's hand in a firm handshake, a newfound respect shining in his eyes. The crowd cheered louder than ever, chanting Jake's name. For the first time, they weren't just entertained, they were truly impressed by the human's bravery, skill, and sportsmanship. In that moment, Jake knew he had won not just the contest, but the respect of everyone in the Bar of Wonders. As Jake left the ring, the patrons surrounded him, clapping him on the back and congratulating him. He had shown them that humans were far more than they seemed, and he had done so without losing his integrity. Jake knew he'd made a lasting impression on this crowd, and maybe, just maybe, he'd opened their minds to what humanity had to offer. The bar was buzzing with energy as Jake stood surrounded by a crowd of aliens, all eager to shake his hand and praise his victory. The human had not only matched Zarnak in a contest of skill, but had also outsmarted him in a one-on-one fight, winning over the hearts and respect of everyone at the Bar of Wonders. Zarnak, still catching his breath, stood nearby, watching Jake with a newfound admiration. Just hours ago, he had seen Jake as nothing more than an amusing inferior species. But now he saw him as a true warrior, someone who fought with skill, heart, and courage. It was a humbling lesson, and Zarnak knew he'd remember it for a long time. A small alien with bright green skin and 3 eyes stepped forward, grinning as he extended a hand toward Jake. "You, human, are truly something else. I never thought I'd see the day someone would outfight Zarnak with such a primitive weapon." He chuckled, emphasizing the word with air quotes. Jake laughed, shaking the alien's hand warmly. "Thanks," he replied, his voice humble. "I'm just glad to prove that humans have something valuable to offer, even if we don't have all the high-tech weapons you guys do." The crowd murmured in agreement, nodding as they took in Jake's words. This contest had changed their view of humans. They realized that strength wasn't always about the most powerful technology, but about skill, courage, and a bit of clever thinking. Jake had shown them that humans could be just as fierce as any other species in the galaxy, and perhaps even more so because of their determination. Suddenly, the bar's owner, a tall, elegant alien with shimmering silver skin and multiple arms, stepped forward, her voice ringing out across the room. "Tonight, we celebrate the bravery and skill of our friend, Jake the Human," she announced, raising her glass high. May he remind us all that there's more to strength than meets the eye. The entire bar cheered, lifting their glasses to toast Jake. He couldn't help but feel a sense of pride as he looked around, seeing the friendly faces of aliens from all corners of the galaxy. It was a strange feeling, being welcomed so warmly in a place that had once seen him as nothing but an odd curiosity. Zarnak, who had been watching silently, stepped forward, his face serious. "Jake," he said, his voice steady, "I owe you an apology. I thought I was better than you because of my weapon and my size. But tonight, you taught me that strength isn't just about those things." He extended a massive hand toward Jake, his eyes sincere. "I respect you, human." Jake took Zarnak's hand in a firm handshake, feeling the weight of the moment. This was more than just a handshake. It was a gesture of understanding, a sign that he had earned not only Zarnak's respect, but the respect of everyone in the room. "Thank you, Zarnak," Jake replied, smiling. "I respect you too. It was a good fight." With the rivalry now behind them, Zarnak and Jake stood side by side, both warriors who had earned each other's admiration. The crowd continued to celebrate, and soon the bar was filled with laughter, cheers, and the clinking of glasses. The night became a celebration not just of Jake's victory, but of the spirit of unity among different species. Throughout the evening, aliens from all over the bar came up to Jake, sharing stories of their own worlds and listening intently as he spoke about Earth. For the first time, Jake felt truly accepted, as though he was part of something much bigger than himself. He realized that he hadn't just won a contest. He had bridged a gap between his own kind and the other species of the galaxy. As the night drew to a close, the bar owner approached Jake, a warm smile on her face. "You've made quite an impression here tonight, Jake," she said. "The Bar of Wonders will always welcome you, and I have a feeling word of your bravery will spread far beyond these walls." Jake nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "Thank you," he replied. "It's been an unforgettable night. I'll remember this place and all of you for a long time." With one last toast, the patrons of the Bar of Wonders raised their glasses to Jake, sealing his place in their memories as the human who had shown them the true meaning of courage. As he prepared to leave, he looked around, taking in the faces of the aliens who had once doubted him, now looking at him with respect and admiration. Jake walked out of the Bar of Wonders that night, his heart full and his spirit high. He had come in as an outsider, but left as a hero, respected by species he hadn't even known existed before. And as he stepped into the vastness of the galaxy, he knew that wherever he went, he would carry the lesson of that night with him, a lesson that courage, skill, and heart could transcend any differences, and that respect, once earned, could build bridges across the stars.